I know we're outside of Scranton or in Scranton,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, and I apologize. I probably should ask you guys sort of what you need to catch up, because I just realized we kind of jump in deep. Didn't mean to do
that. What are you looking for from us, I guess, is the other question.
Okay, so from SSI, as a company, is what we did is when Guy Ferriolo passed away, one of our partners, and this goes back to like last year, maybe it was over the summer, probably over the summer by the time things kind of quieted out. We contacted Scott or somebody somehow got into Scott and Wendell's inbox. I forget exactly how we did it, because Guy was our contact with the mentorship, which is one of the reasons we didn't really get a lot done. Not the guy was not a good guy, but just there shouldn't be only one point of contact. And we said, hey, Guy's passed away. We want to focus on doing what it is you guys told us you wanted us to be doing when we first spent the $100,000. And Scott and Wendell said, yeah, no problem. Come out to one of our events, which we're coming out next week, and we'll get you back on track. And yada yada yada. We'll get you rolling again. And then in the interim time, I had a death in the family, whatever. So we ended up here instead of then. And these two deals, which I have another deal I can show you as well, these two deals presented themselves. So it went from let's restart the mentorship, let's restart and kind of pick up where we left off so we can complete the first deal, so we can, all that stuff, or at least get some sort of back on track. And then this deal and another deal brought by John, who's the owner here, who's an attorney. One of his clients has another parcel that also wants to sell or finance. Whole different conversation. Bob Copper did a back of the napkin gut reaction. Yeah, guys, it'll be worth doing. Call me when you're ready to do a report. So we're back ending it to talk about these specific deals only because these deals landed in our laps. More the bigger picture is, hey, we'd like to sort of get SSI to, get you guys to sort of help us get caught up to probably what we should have been doing, what we should have gotten there before, so we can get the training and the mentorship that maybe we didn't, and also we can get that first deal and we can start actually doing stuff. Unrelated, I'm actually probably investing in is it Tulsa? Is one of the syndications. I'm probably throwing $50,000 at one of the syndications. So unrelated, I'm also doing a little bit on that side. Okay. So really, mentorship was and is the primary question. It's just since we're here, it's like, hey, before we get into mentorship, can someone tell us what the living cluck we should do here? Mm-hmm. Can someone give us some idea? And especially since we will have our attorney review the LOI. We're not going to sign an LOI presented by the seller. That would be stupid. But we want to negotiate him off his price a little bit. We want to do something. So really, whether you guys say, hey, no, we want to have a mentorship conversation, we don't want to have a deal conversation. Whether you say, hey, let's punch out the deal first and then we'll back in. I don't know where we so I've kind of caught you up to sort of why we're here, and now you guys.
Okay. Cool. So thank you for that. So just who we are. So we're the Bellows Group. We also were students of Scott years ago. We just closed on our 20th self-storage deal last week. Okay. We got 2 more in the works. We've been very active over the last 5-6 years.
Okay.
We took over Scott just very recently. We took over his mentorship program because they weren't getting the results from students, and we were like the star students, if you will.
Yep.
And now, I don't like throwing the word expert around because I think it's overused, but we're experienced.
Yeah.
And in self-storage, we're also doing development, which is probably why they threw it our way as well. Our one partner who handles development is actually out at the ISS.
Okay.
What I think you should do is go through FMG again, which is sorry?
Which one's FMG?
Yeah. FMG. Actually, you're going to be at the mastermind?
Yeah.
Okay, so the academy is following it. So Jack and I will actually be, or I'll be there all week. Jack's coming out for the academy, so I'll be at the mastermind and the academy. FMG will kick off shortly after the academy. We're finishing one right now. It's a 5-week kind of upstart, quick start, however you want to call it. It's a deep dive into self-storage and how to get started.
Okay.
I think if you're, and I'm saying that only because you said I want to restart the self-storage business we never really got started in. So
Right.
from a mentorship standpoint, I would, we could talk more about this next week at the mastermind as well. But that's where I would go. And that's how I'd handle the mentorship. In the meantime, you have a deal, maybe 2, right? So what I think you should do is get Jack everything you have on this. It sounds like I was listening. It sounds like you said you forwarded some stuff. Maybe you didn't.
Yeah.
You were aware, or, we were getting emails and we don't know what's going on. They're they're throwing all the students at us, and we're playing catch up here because it's all newer. So happy to help, but we're not up to speed with this project. So I know you mentioned Bob Copper he ran a feasibility. It sounds like he looked at it again for you. We would need to see that. When was the last time anybody? I mean, I know Bob Copper looked at it, but when did you first look at this for storage?
Okay, and okay, I'll get back to that, but let me just tell you guys that I'm glad someone's taking over, and this is not negative to anybody, but when Guy Ferriolo and I in like 2018 were, we were the general partners for our group, and Mark and Matt were whatever. And we have to admit that we were never happy with how the mentorship was done. And we were like almost to the point of like, what the bleep. And, then Guy and I kind of had different visions of where this would go. And part of the reason was that there wasn't a clear, here's the spreadsheet you use, guys. Here's the actual recipe. Here's this, here's that. And even when Guy and I sort of had realized there was a divergence of how we looked at things, we decided that he'd be the GP and I'd step off to like an LP role. He would bring deals, which none of us knew about, but whatever. He would bring deals, and the mentor, whoever he was assigned to, would say, "Oh, this is phenomenal. This is great." And then some other person within the Scott Mario's group would totally tear apart everything the other person said. And Guy's like, "Well, wait a second. We'd like to know what the Scott Myers methodology is, not what these 2 very qualified people are." So really, I'm glad to hear that they're bringing in some fresh blood, I guess, because we kind of felt like, okay, I mean, these were guys who were literally on his deathbed. I'm there the day before the man passes away. After we kind of had a falling out, we reconnected, and Guy's like, "Listen, you're going to have to kind of run the storage group after this, and and here's what my experience has been." So it's great to hear there's at least an idea that whatever. And the FMG, the 5-week, absolutely, we did. I that's pretty much probably what I think we need to do. And Mark and I are out there Wednesday through Saturday. We both fly back. Actually, I think we missed like the last hour by the way the flights work. But yeah, we can definitely jump into the FMG from there. But I just wanted to let you guys know that it's great that they brought some other way of looking at it in. And I'm not saying what they had before was, wrong, but whether it was our myopia or it was that, there was a disconnect.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've heard that. I will tell you this. I don't know what your goals and objectives are, but if it's to truly get into storage, we're having a lot of success with students already. We've only taken over in February. So we've got a lot of momentum about it. So you can email Keith. You can listen to the old FMGs if you don't want to wait, because we're on this is our second FMG, Jack? FM51? Yeah. It breaks down the process about how we do it, how we approach everything. And that's just all we're teaching. Most of it came from Scott. He was one of our mentors. Actually, Jesse Luke was my mentor. I don't know if you know the broker, but we kind of took it, created a process and a system, and that's what works. Obviously a lot of it came from Scott. I don't know how directly involved with mentoring Scott was back in 2018, 2019. That's when I came through. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if I was ever at a mastermind with Guy or not. His name sounds familiar, but I can't picture him.
I mean, he's hard to forget. Shaped like a blueberry, very very large and very glasses, whatever. But I mean, yeah, I love the guy. Don't get me wrong. But like, but yeah, and Scott was the guy who spoke at the meetings.
Yeah,
Scott was the face.
He still is.
Everything behind the scenes was you never heard from Scott.
Yeah, he still is, and I think with any organization with growth, the people you train, you expect to do the job that you just did, and there's always
and this founder syndrome, and as he moves on to something better. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So, but it's the mentorship program is in very good standing at this point. It's I think you'll see the difference when you go through it. Yeah. And happy to spend some time with you out in Indy as well.
Yeah, definitely. And as far as what our goals are to. So I'm a broker and a wholesaler, so I would love to look at getting into more of that, as well as Mark and I both want to, get into self-storage very strongly, into diving into all of this kind of stuff, and owning, possibly developing, possibly GPing.
Cool.
And I know
there's a lot we could talk about next week. Are you from the Scranton area?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm originally from Boston, which is probably one. And my goal, real quick, not to drag this on too long, but my goal is in 3 years, my daughter goes to college, to have enough passive income, hopefully in less, that I don't have a geographical base where I have to be. I can be in Boston. I can be, because pretty much once she's out of here, my wife and I have our businesses running here, but we don't need to be here.
Cool.
So so definitely diving in on anything like that. And while and honestly, ground up construction scares the crap out of me, I would much rather probably, and we are looking to find a building, possibly even a sleepy but functioning facility that we can pick up. But these fell into our laps, and it's like, well, wait, if the bank will give us the money, we really have no money in. From a dumb perspective, sounds like a pretty good start. If Bob Copper says it's a great market and yada yada, and the town loves it, and it's a very nepotistic area. They will not say no to anything we want.
Lucky for you, Jack is also from the Scranton area, so I'm sure he's very familiar with this site.
My sister worked at Wilkes-Barre University for a decade. I grew up in Nazareth, about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, Mark's from down that way. Yeah, so I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
Let's get. Why don't we get Jack all the information so we can start to underwrite it ourselves and look at the market.
Yep.
As well as the property, and then I don't know if you have a specific need today, tomorrow, Friday, before we get together next week. But if you do, please let us know. I kind of
do, only in terms of, so I don't want to, we've already slept on this LOI for about a week, 10 days, because of when John sent it, because I'm hoping to hear back from you guys, which honestly kind of, that system could be better internally with them. But also not with you guys, but just whatever. But also, and I don't want to sleep on this because of the fact, Mark is here, because of the fact that I don't think John's going anywhere on these other parcels, but and I just sent the link, and I'll gotta find the email with everybody on it, but I'll resend the link.
I have it.
And then real quick, and Mark, real quick, I'm just going to throw up and just show you the other parcel.
Just to clarify, though, this parcel that we looked at first is the primary one that you guys want to go after, correct?
Yeah. So basically, yes, that's the one that all the research has been done on. This other one here that I'm showing, so the Dollar General is here. And the man that owns this lot here, he used to own the Dollar General. We sold it. It's a 2-acre lot, but it's really about 3/4 of an acre. We're guessing maybe an acre usable. The numbers are still strong. Bob did a back of the napkin on it. I think I pulled a compass off of Radius Plus, and it's still really strong. Same thing. He's willing to. So whatever we do for John, we might also for John's LOI, we might also do for this LOI. Assuming we decided that doing both was a smart play or whatever. But where this is geographically this is about 40 miles south of the first parcel. Not exactly this road, but whatever. So in terms of when we talk about the drums location, which is secondary to this one, because this guy knows we're getting back to him, but he's a little bit, we're not as far along the line. With the Taylor location, we've had the excavator out there. We know the excavation numbers. Mark has also been a builder forever. You'll see in the drive folder, we have the Bob Copper reports. We have some actual plans that John had drawn up of what could possibly the land use options could possibly be. Like Taylor is pretty much primed and ready. But probably whatever we do on one could possibly do on both if you guys, your guidance said, hey, yeah, we should still do it. So when we were talking before, this is back to Taylor. This is what's called Lot 7, which is the one that has more hills and valleys. And this is Lot 8. So, yeah, this is sorry, I'm sorry. No. This is Lot 7. This is where the gas station's going. This is Lot 7. This is Lot 8. So the lot that's flatter is this undeveloped one here. So when you're looking at these designs, this loop surrounds what's going to become the Wawa gas station. What you probably knew when you were back here is Unimart. That's what it became. And these are the two parcels that he wants us to buy one and do a right of refusal. This is back to Taylor again. So in the drive folder, you have everything, I think, but the LOI.
Yeah, no, I was looking at the drive folder. The one big question I have is is this zoned for residential or is this zoned for commercial?
This is zoned for commercial.
Okay.
John has already spoken to the town about us and self-storage, and the town, again, this is a very nepotistic area. Mark and I are okay sized in the area. John's freaking huge in the area. The town has said, yes, please, whatever you'd like to do, we will do it for you. As you know, having grown up around here, it's very buddy nepotistic. So the zoning's not a problem. The stormwater is already done. The DOT stuff won't be a problem because we're actually not coming off the highway. We're coming off of John's driveways. So it's kind of pretty much, we haven't gone as far as looking into underground utilities and whether there's any of that grant crap, but basically, and just so you know, this is what I mean when I say Bob Copper was wrong with his dot. His dot is here. The Walmart's down here, downhill from.
Yeah. So, it sounds like this isn't a big deal, but I would still want that contingency in the LOI. For commercial use that you are by right able to basically build storage on that lot.
Yeah.
Essentially, I know you have the handshake agreement in there, which is great. It's just when you're in front of the board and you're in front of the county, I know everything should go perfectly. But if it doesn't, you don't have a way out.
Well, exactly. And this is what John's already put in the LOI, and again, we'll certainly add stuff like that to it. He's given us, it's actually originally 150. We changed it to 120 days, and pretty much leaving it wide open. Any investigations, tests, studies that may elect. So really, yes, we can add specifications to this, which is great. And in fact, I'll add all physical zoning, city planning, storm.
And you probably want more than just one 30-day extension with that as well. I'm just trying to put my Tim hat on. I think Joe, it sounds like we'll probably want to set up a meeting with Tim as well on this. I think Joe had another meeting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he had.
Yeah. and we don't necessarily cover everything on this conversation, but I mean, obviously, whatever you guys want to, we're here. But generally, John does not. The attorney, the owner, is the attorney, does not seem that picky about. He wants us to do this for whatever reason. He wants it to be us, and he said he's like Mark built his house. He's known me for 8 or 9 years in different deals we've done together. On client management. So he's like, I'd rather do this with someone I know. And he definitely does not want to sell it to the neighbor. That's
gotcha.
also cool. So,
and Steve, Joe is actually back in the waiting room on his phone.
All right, let me fix that up.
Got it.
There he is.
Yeah, I can hear you guys, so I didn't lose anything. I just
it's weird when you're in the waiting room, you can still hear us. One thing I like about the app, but anyway.
No, I mean,
Jack, what were you saying? You want to?
I think we need
to call with Tim, right?
Yeah, I think we need to jump on a call with Tim. But and it sounds like you guys are looking at a property in Scranton and a property in Drums. I mean, the two locations. While yes, they are close, miles.
Totally different, yeah.
Miles, I would probably pick either Scranton or Drums to go with first. They're far enough away where I'm going to say they're two different markets. Because you're looking basically in Scranton and then right outside of Hazleton. That's two different areas.
Yeah.
So do you want to focus on right outside of Hazleton where there's 25,000 people, or do you want to focus basically right in Taylor where you have what is it, 117,000 people, where the population is starting to finally grow in Scranton again.
Yeah, exactly. And really, that's the other reason we're looking for general mentorship in the FMG thing as well. But also, that's sort of why we're here, is because we're saying, okay, do we pick one and say to the other guy, hey, we'll be back to you in 6 months, whichever other guy that is, which I think is probably Taylor rather than Drums, or is it like, hey, oh my God, guys, you guys have landed in 2 amazing fish. You really should do both fish. Because and Drums also, if we said Drums was the winner, there are a couple other parcels down there where also don't have any connections to, but also look interesting. But really, one of the things is Mark and I went from, oh, gee, it's great we have a project, and oh, crap, and we almost had a third one. Oh, crap, now we have 2 projects. Or do we want to do both? So definitely, that's part of the guidance we're looking for is, hey, could, frankly, beginners, especially considering, ground up is, Mark's done hundreds of ground up houses, but ground up is new to me. I understand it theoretically, and I've sold land, but it's the concept of that is scary to me also, because that's a concept of what will the world look like in a year, basically.
And are you guys
if it was what?
Are you guys raising for these, or is this all out of both yours and Mark's pocket?
Well, the beautiful part about this is, according to our lender, neither, because with Taylor, for example, with the land being worth $500,000 and the total construction and land buy being roughly 2.5, the bank said, well, you already have the 20% down by the in-kind contribution of the land. So pretty much the lender said, you guys aren't going to be reaching into anybody's pocket for this. There won't have to be a raise because you've already raised it by the landowner. So
how much are you building for $2.5 million?
I mean, okay, so we're using the 2.5 estimate from another deal that actually fell apart, where basically it was around 250 units. And whether that turns out to be exactly the number, we haven't gone that far yet, because obviously we just moved parcels. But we're probably figuring if we're building 20,000 square feet and at about $30 a square foot, okay, that's around 600, plus another million or so in land and concrete, in excavation, concrete, whatever. That puts us at about 2 million, plus land value is about $500,000. So okay, that's 2.5. And obviously that's thumbnail sketches, because we have not gotten to the point until we do an LOI. We don't really want to send this out to construction companies and say, here's the unit mix Bob has given us. Please give us an exact quote. But we're kind of sketching it, saying 2.5 builds about 200, maybe 250, and 10 by 10s. We know it's not all 10 by 10s, but whatever, 25,000 square feet. Which Bob Copper says the market can handle 75, so we're still not taxing the market.
Okay. I mean, the
now,
other thing
on that note,
homework for you though is there are 3 incoming developments in final planning within 2 in Dunmore and 1 in Old Forge that are all within 5 miles of your location. I don't know the status of them. Like, I mean, that's going to kind of be something that like it'll just take one call to the county around Dunmore. Like, there's one at 966 Mead Street, another one on 1126 Mead Street. Between those 2, you're looking at that's 100, and then this one is another 100. So 200,000. And this last one is like about 10. So you're looking at about 210,000 square feet that may be entering into the market.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up because actually, indirectly, we've been the excavator that Mark knows, and Mark, feel free to jump in. I think you're on platform, but the excavator that Mark knows we believe there's another one that the excavator has been asked to bid in Kaiser Ave, which is like 2 miles away. So that and when we asked Bob Copper, hey, do you know about the Kaiser Ave one? He knew about one which we don't think is the same. So yes, there's probably more. There's more supply coming online up in Taylor, than there is in Drums. And oddly enough, in Drums, the second parcel, which is an old motel, we're trying to get the owner to call us back. He's got a for sale sign, but he doesn't call back. North of 80 is the lot we showed you, and that has like a 4.6 according to Radius Plus supply. South of 80 has a 2 point something supply where the motel is. So there's a few, which is again why we're here, is to find out, hey, we have these 2, both are kind of similar fish in terms of seller willing to play ball. If either one, which one do we start with? So definitely, and if you're seeing, and I wrote down those addresses. I have to see if the addresses you named are ones that are already in Bob Copper's report. I don't know. Perhaps they are, perhaps they're not.
Yeah.
So I mean, listen, that's the reason we're here. We're open to whatever. Mark, did I miss anything? I don't know.
No, not at all.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So basically, I mean, that's kind of what we're open to. We're open to sort of, hey guys, Taylor's got to, and listen, I will tell you that a friend of mine, Joe Capalco, who does a lot of, he doesn't like owning them long term. Mark and I see this as a long term ownership, but Joe's a build, stabilize, sell guy, and he told me like 2 years ago, he's like, be wary of Scranton. Like it's already overbuilt. Now Scranton obviously isn't Taylor, but Joe's looking not Scranton area, and Joe's a Scranton original. Joe's a Santarelli concrete family, been here forever. So like there is a bit of a warning flag in my head from what Joe said that, hey, if he's looking elsewhere, whatever. But the Taylor thing just seems so sweet, and Bob's numbers seem so good. But definitely, that's why we're here. Long way of saying that's why we're here.
So construction was, let's just say, $60 a foot. Are you still as excited?
I'm never excited with more expense. I'm never excited with more expense. And obviously, with all the tariff excitement, I'd be a lot more excited if there was already a building and we were just putting units inside of it. So like, I mean, at the end of the day, for us, it's a cash flow play. And if you guys are like, hey, you know what, your 30 estimate is more like 60, and gee, we don't think this makes economic sense. That's really where, all of this plays back to, that's why we're here, because we don't know what to be excited about, truthfully.
Mm-hmm. No, the reason I ask, we're building right now, and this is in South Jersey and South Carolina, for land, debt, construction, soup to nuts, everything. We're at like $125 a foot.
Okay.
So I mean, it's like one of those. Like, it sounds like Mark, you have a lot of experience in the development here, so it's like I might be a little off on those numbers. It's just I mean, I think the first things first is pick which market you want to be in, drums, Taylor, and then kind of then see like, okay, where are my costs at, and then we can kind of like evaluate from there. I mean, we're looking at a lot right now. We covered a lot.
Right.
Just think we need to like come from there and kind of bring it down a little bit more consolidated.
Well, it's the thing. What you're putting as A would be the first question that we would have for the mentorship to say, okay, we don't know how to pick A. We don't. This isn't. I don't care anything east of state. I mean, anything nationally, but certainly anything in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Mid Atlantic. I mean, Mark and I might have to refine that a little bit, but like, we relatively don't care where it is. It's not like, oh, gee, we want to build in our backyard. If you guys said, you know what, forget your market, it's overbuilt. You guys want to go to State College. You know, we're not against that either. So like, we can't even say we want to be in drums, we want to be in Taylor. That's part of why we're here.
Yeah. Steve, you're a broker and a wholesaler, right?
Yep.
So it sounds like you're really good at finding land and deals.
In fact, I'm okay at it, and I actually just invested in an AI for finding land.
Okay.
So which was our original plan. Our original plan was saying, hey, let's go find deals, and I'm launching next week. We're sending a mailer out to mom and pop self-storage areas within about 100 miles of Scranton, saying, hey, who wants to sell? We're only doing like 1,000 of them. We're not doing a lot of them, but we're doing a little bit.
And Mark is a builder?
Yep.
Commercial, residential, it doesn't matter.
Mark, you're thinking mostly residential, right?
Okay. Hello? Did I lose you guys?
No, you're still there.
Okay.
You broke Mark, but
all right. So I'm hearing you, Steve. I think I'm hearing you. Jack, why don't you treat these deals as if they were ours? Where would we want to start? Or if at all? And then let's get back to Steve Thursday or Friday with just initial findings. And then Steve, you and I could spend a lot more. Is it just going to be you out at the mastermind?
Well, no. Both Mark and I are going to Indiana.
Awesome. So let's spend some time, the three of us, or actually Tim will be there too. So the four of us, let's spend some time talking about not just the mentorship, but your approach to this, because I think there's some synergies. Look, it's hard to find good deals.
Yeah,
so if you're finding them, I think you just need to understand how you can monetize them a little better and faster, and maybe there's even some synergies there. So
yeah, and certainly, if Mark and I found deals that don't suit us or aren't too big for us or too sideways for us, we don't mind wholesaling. We don't mind doing whatever. If it makes sense, if there was something that fit you guys or whatever. And I'm looking at doing a little bit of a small amount of private lending. So if there were some deals that made sense to get involved in, but whatever. But basically, yeah. So yeah. I mean, I think at this point you guys have a kind of a pretty good picture of what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
And also what we're looking at in general and whatever. And I mean, again, like I keep saying, like, raw land scares me. There's no other way to put it.
Yep. Okay.
And
well, sorry it took so long for us to get back to you. We were trying to figure out through SSI, like, who are these guys and what is being asked of us, because it's all new for us since we took over. Yeah. But I'm glad we connected, Jack. Let's analyze that info. Let's go back to Steve, no later than Friday. And,
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
And then
now you're breaking up, Joe. But I think he's trying to say, like, and then you guys connect at after. Oh, go ahead, Joe. You're back. Maybe not. Once you get all the info, like, you guys can group up next week and kind of discuss everything at Mastermind, and with Tim there as well, because Tim's kind of like our development guru that we have. So it's just like he's going to be able to give a lot more insights on that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Now, just in general, I mean, do you guys see all of this Washington strangeness and international strangeness as affecting the future of self-storage? Because I gotta say, I'm a little worried looking in it as and saying, okay, we no longer have, let's say, the strength of alliances we have. We no longer have a lot of things have changed in the last 90 days. If people start losing, Social Security and jobs, and if all of that starts to go the way we all hope it won't. But like, do you guys see, besides tariffs simply costing us more money in construction? I get that part. But do you guys see there being any, oh my God, this is not a time to be building?
I mean, right now, I hear a lot more optimism in the market than I do pessimism.
Okay.
That take that for what it is. I don't know. I try to like stay out of that lane. But essentially, it's one of those things that like it's scary to build anytime. I mean, the only time that it really wasn't was during COVID, where like interest rates were almost zero. And even then, like it was a competition of who can get there first, because like there's places like Rogers, Arkansas, that like 8 developments hit at the same time. So who was right? Like where it was just like the cost of capital was nothing, but now you overbuilt a market, and now all those facilities are sitting at under 50% occupancy. Is that what you want to do? Like, so it's like there's catch-22s with the certain cycles too. We're building right now. We're building a slightly different product, but we're still building. 10 Federal, that's another like, they're a large operation in the business right now. Just raised $110 million fund to buy abandoned construction projects in primary and secondary markets.
That sounds cool.
So it's just, again, like it depends on your view of it. I can't say what your view is. Is there a lot of uncertainty right now? Yeah, absolutely. I watch the news. I could see that, but it depends on where you and Mark are at within like the. I think it's going to be more state to state than anything else like that.
Yeah, no, and really, we don't have a view because again, we're coming from 3 years. For about 3 years, kind of let guy run this thing, and then of course that guy passed away and whatever. So we're kind of coming back in as if it's brand new and saying we want to do this. This is something we're 110%, 110% in, and it's good to hear that you. I mean, it's good to hear that the guys who are doing this every day are reading it that way, because it's very hard to tell when you're. I mean, I can tell you in my local market, I'm not afraid of residential rental. Like if I could find 10 times as many deals as I have right now, I'd be buying them all. So I understand what I understand. I don't understand. I understand a little bit, but that's why I'm trying to get back into FMG. All right. So I just sent you guys the link to the Taylor Walmart folder.
Okay.
Which at some point I've got to run to something, but at some point I'll drop a copy of their LOI into it. But you already have the link to the LOI anyway. So you have that too, and I guess we're in good shape.
Okay. The one other thing I'll say is just like, I mean, the most important FMG for you to watch is the first one, where it's more so validating a market.
All right. If you can send us links, because you're saying FMG, and I mean, we're literally coming into this thing next week and saying, okay, someone show us.
I'll send you the link to that. That's fine.
Yeah, and also like tell us how we get on the fresh live FMG, because watching the videos is great, but being into it live is certainly great too.
I mean, essentially the first one is basically is how to identify a market. And that's like answering the question, do you want to be here? That's the first question, that like whether it's development or value add, but like 95+% of people that we're working with are doing like value adds. So 2 through 5 are more so geared towards value add. Where you like it's still applicable for development. It's just going to be different in the standpoint of you are building ground up, so there's going to be a few more steps along the way. Like you're going to need a full feasibility, and everything else like that. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and definitely, like I said, value adds, existing facilities, grandpa facilities, warehouses to convert. Love all of that because there's less risk. But you know what? So if you have any link to FMGs, we can definitely tune into those and get caught up. So when we start next week, we got somewhere to go. And I guess we'll regroup on Friday on these, kind of, on these kind of situations and see what they, see what you guys think of either Taylor or, and then we can kind of look at the drums location, and see if drums even makes sense. And I'm afraid, doing one is scary enough. I think doing two is probably too many. And I ran the 125 number or 150 number you gave, and I said, okay, 150 at 200 square feet is around $2.5 million. So, all right, all right, so like, it doesn't, if that's soup to nuts, it doesn't scare me. The question is, you guys might look at it and say, well, here's why it should scare you. It should scare you because look at what's going on in Kaiser Ave. It should scare you because what's going on here. That's the reason we're back here. We're back here because we don't think it's scary, but we don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah, no, the rates are close. So this one looks like it should be. It's going to be borderline, meaning like your rates are at about $1 a foot. So it's going to be. I will try and get that over to you.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right, let's touch base again on Friday.
All right, sounds good.
All right, have a good one, man.
Thanks. Bye bye. Thanks. Bye.